is Spirit, and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be sleeving a Pokemon deck. This is a Mudkip deck that I've been working on for my boyfriend. I put it in a Magic the Gathering type of deck box because he's actually been teaching me how to play Magic for the past while now, and I wanted to see if he'd be interested in playing Pokemon, the card game, and he's interested, so I told him I'd make him a deck. His favorite Pokemon is Mudkip, so I made a Mudkip deck, and today we're going to sleeve all the cards, and we're going to go through all of them together. I like this deck box though, it's very textured. Let's open her up. Before we get to sleeving the cards, I would like to show you guys the card that I put in the little commander slot. It's not going to be part of the deck, it's just decorative. This is a 2006 Mudkip, and it's from EX Crystal Guardians. It's got the holographic. It's a little harder to tell with this top loader, but just a moment. Check it out. Oh, it's so pretty. But yeah, I really like this card. I think it was a friend who gave it to me back in elementary school. I bought a whole bunch of cards off of him for just like $2. So I've got a bunch of random cards from very different times because of that, and I believe this is one of them. Yeah. Anyway, I'm very fond of this card, and I'm very excited for my boyfriend to have it. Alright, let's put this little fella back in the deck box. Oh, sorry, that might have been a little loud. There we go. Let's grab our cards. This deck is very much not standard legal. I don't even think it's legal for the expanded format, but this is just for the two of us to play with. So yeah. We've got our sleeves here. This is the color I chose. They're also a little bit textured. the sleeves we're going to be using. Alright. Let's start with these two Mudkip cards. So, this one costs only 1 energy of any color, and it says, search your deck for up to 3 water-type energy cards. Reveal them and put them into your hand. And its flavor text says, to alert it, the fin on its head senses the flow of water. It has the strength to heft boulders. For such a tiny little guy, it's very strong. So, let's sleeve those two. There we have it. And we have another 2 Mudkip cards, but these ones are different. Okay, here's the next Mudkip card. So, this one has 2 moves. The first one costs 1 water type energy and does 10 damage. The next does 20 damage, and it costs 2 energy. 1 water type energy and 1 energy of any color. Isn't that cool? Alright. The flavor text is the same as the previous Mudkip. Let's sleeve them. That's Mudkip done. Next, we have 3 copies of the same Marshtomp card. This one is from 2009. Anyone familiar with the more modern Pokemon cards would know that some of them come with an ability. It'll say ability at the top. But this one says Poke Power instead. It seems it's pretty much the same concept, just a different name. So here is the card. It's pretty neat. Look at this. Look at this little guy. Look. It's so happy. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, its moves include this Poke Power called Plunge. once during your turn before your attack. If Marshtomp is on your bench, you may flip a coin. If heads, move all energy cards attached to your active Pokemon to Marshtomp. If you do, switch Marshtomp with that active Pokemon. That's pretty neat. And then it has one attack, and it costs 3 energy of any color. It's called Mud Shot, and it does 50 damage. Its flavor text says that its sturdy legs give it sure footing, even in mud. It burrows into dirt to sleep. That's pretty cute. So let's sleeve those 3 copies. Oh, whoops, I had that backwards. There we go. Another look at that Marshtomp. What a cutie! Okay, next we have 2 different Swampert cards. Okay, so this one is also hollow, like the Mudkip I have in the top loader for the deck. So yeah, that's pretty neat. This one's ability is Muddy Water. Once during your turn, you may attach a water-type energy card or a fighting-type energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. It also has an attack called Earthquake that takes 3 energy, 1 water type, and 2 of any color. This attack also does 20 damage to each of your benched Pokemon without applying weakness and resistance for the benched Pokemon. The base attack does 180 damage. That's pretty good. has an ability called Power Draw. Once during your turn, before your attack, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. It also has an attack called Hydro Pump that takes 3 energy of any color. This attack does 20 more damage times the amount of water type energy attached to this Pokemon. The base attack damage is 80 damage, and its flavor text says it can swim while towing a large ship. It bashes down foes with a swing of its thick arms. And I just realized I forgot to read the flavor text on the other one, but I'm pretty sure it's the same. Yeah, it's the same. And I'm so sorry if you guys can hear some background noise. I think I heard it in my earbuds, but I'm not sure. One of our cats tends to meow at night, and even though he's all the way downstairs, I can still hear him up here sometimes. So my apologies. I might be able to edit some of the noises out in post, but in case some of them stay in, my apologies. But anyway, that's this Swampert card. Now, just leave it. I almost did it backwards again. Okay. Okay, next we have 2 identical copies of Golduck, 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 Golduck. It has 2 moves. The first one costs 1 energy of any color, and it's called Aquatic Rescue. It says, put up to 4 Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand. That can be quite useful. Its next move is Super Splash. It does 120 damage and costs 3 energy. 2 water type energy and 1 energy of any color. That's pretty neat. Its flavor text says, when it swims at full speed using its long, webbed limbs, its forehead somehow begins to glow. Golduck. That was actually one of my favorite Pokemon for a few years when I was a kid. I remember that very vividly. But I think Psyduck is way cooler. I'm not gonna lie. Like, yeah, Golduck may be more powerful, but come on. Psyduck is pretty neat. Plus, it's cute. Psyduck. It has 2 different moves. It has Overthink for 1 energy of any color during your opponent's next turn. Whenever they flip a coin, treat it as tails. And then it has a 10 damage attack for 1 water type energy called Water Gun. Its flavor text says, "It is constantly racked by a headache. When the headache turns intense, it begins using mysterious powers." I love Psyduck. Okay, so we're gonna sleeve them now. Okay, so that's 1 Psyduck. Two Psyduck. I love it. Okay. So next we have 2 identical copies of Cloister. It only has 1 attack, and it costs 2 water type energy and does 80 damage. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 80 less damage from attacks after applying weakness and resistance. Its flavor text says that Cloister that live in seas with harsh tidal currents grow larger, sharp spikes on their shells. Grow large, sharp spikes on their shells. So there we have it. That's Cloister. Let's sleeve it up. Next, we've got Shelter, and we have 3 identical copies. Shelter only has 1 attack, and it costs 2 water type energy and does 30 damage. During your opponent's next turn, Inside, however, it is surprisingly tender. That flavor text almost sounds like it was written by someone who has eaten a shelter. Do they eat shelter in the Pokemon universe? I know that there's an episode where they were talking about eating a Magikarp or something, so I guess that would make sense. I just find that a little funny. So let's sleeve the 3 of those. So that's 1 shelter. Shelter. Whoops, I'm so sorry. I hope that wasn't too loud. So that's all of our water type Pokemon done. Next, we are moving on to our fighting types. Alright, I had meant to organize these by order of evolution. For some reason, only Mudkip was in the order of evolution. And everything else is in the reverse order, so it is what it is. Anyway, next up, we have Mega Lucario EX. And this fella has 2 different moves. The first one costs 1 fighting type energy and does 130 damage. It's called Aura Jab. Attach up to 3 basic Pokemon. Oh my gosh, sorry. Attach up to 3 basic fighting energy cards from your discard pile to your benched Pokemon in any way you like. Sorry, my brain skipped ahead to the final part of the text while I was reading it. And its next move costs 2 fighting energies, and it does 270 damage. This move is called Mega Brave. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't use Mega Brave. Pokemon EX have rule boxes, and this one is a Mega Evolution EX. When your Mega Evolution Pokemon EX is knocked out, your opponent draws 3 prize cards. So, you definitely don't quite nice that has such big and bold moves that cost so little. So let's sleeve our Mega Lucario EX. Alright. That one is sleeved. And next, we have Lucario EX. And oh my gosh, look at the foil on this one. Isn't that beautiful? It's so shimmery. I love it. Okay. This one has 2 moves as well. The first one costs 1 fighting type energy and does 50 damage. This move is called Aura Uppercut. The next move costs 2 energy, 1 fighting type, and 1 energy of any color. This move is called Tornado Rush, and it does 100 damage. During your next turn, this Pokemon's Tornado Rush attack does 100 more damage before applying weakness and resistance. When your Pokemon EX is knocked out, your opponent draws 2 prize cards. So yeah, these are 2 of the most powerful cards in the deck. Kind of makes it seem like it is a Lucario deck, but the goal was for it to be a Mudkip deck. I was just very limited on my options, but I hope someday I can come across some more Swampert cards, and maybe I can edit the deck. I'm sure my boyfriend would love that. And next we have 3 copies of Riolu. Or is it Riolu? I can never remember how to pronounce its name. It has 1 attack, and it costs 2 fighting type energies. And this attack is low kick, and it does 50 damage. Its flavor text says, "It's exceedingly energetic, with enough stamina to keep running all through the night. Taking it for walks can be a challenging experience." So that is Riolu, or Riolu. Let's sleeve the 3 of these cards. Alright, that's the last Riolu card. very strong guy, but it's got a move that's pretty devastating. Its flavor text says, it stores berries inside its shell. To avoid attacks, it hides beneath rocks and remains completely still. I think it's pretty cute that it hides berries in its shell. It's a little peckish, it's a little hungry, likes to store some snacks. I'd do the same thing, I think. And it is sleeved. Alright, and then we have 2 copies of Hitmonlee. It has 2 moves. The first one costs 1 fighting type energy, and it's called Twister Kick. This attack does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Don't apply weakness and resistance for benched Pokemon. Switch this Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. So, once you've performed that attack, you have no choice but to switch it with one of the Pokemon on your bench. And then its second move is called Low Kick, and it does 100 damage and costs 3 fighting type energies. So, we've got 2 of these guys. They're both holographic, but I've noticed that one is a different color from the other. That's pretty neat. Maybe some kind of printing error, I don't know. But I think that's pretty cool. So, after these 2, we are going to be moving on to trainer cards. Alright, so that's all of our Pokemon for the deck. Next, we have a stadium card called Surfing Beach. Here's the card. It's very shiny and reflective. Look at that. Whoa! Once during each player's turn, that player may switch their active water-type Pokemon with one of their benched water-type Pokemon. You may play only 1 stadium card during your turn. Put it next to the active spot and discard it if another stadium comes into play. A stadium with the same name can't be played. Let's leave it. I will admit I'm a little behind on some of the newer Pokemon games. The most most recent one I've played was Pokemon Sword, so I'm not fully knowledgeable on the newest things that have come out. So, my apologies if I pronounce this stadium card wrong. But next, we have the Mesagoza, I don't know. There's a lot of words out there that I do not know how to pronounce. So yeah, we have another stadium card. This one says, once during each player's turn, that player may flip a coin. If heads, that player searches their deck for a Pokemon, reveals it, and puts it into their hand. Then, that player shuffles their deck. So that's this card. Let's sleeve it. Okay, next we have our supporter trainers. We have 2 copies of Brock's Scouting. This one says to search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon or 1 evolution Pokemon. Reveal them and put them into your hand. Then, shuffle your deck. You may only play 1 supporter card during your turn. So let's sleeve the 2 of those. I always really liked Brock in the original Pokemon series. He was pretty weird, but he has a lot of silly moments. I'll never forget the time he was eating a rice ball and he called it a jelly-filled donut. Gotta love the English dubbing of this series. I also loved when he was using his trusty frying pan as a trusty drying pan in the rain. It's just so cheesy. Alright. So, next, we have 2 copies of Copycat. With this card, you can shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw a card for each card in your opponent's hand. So this is pretty good if you're low on cards and your opponent just happens to have a whole bunch in their hand. And even if they don't have a whole bunch, if you just happen to have like 1 or 2 cards in hand, it's pretty helpful. It's pretty helpful to draw some more cards. So yeah, we have 2 copies of that. Let's sleeve them up. this card is attached to is in the active spot, heal 20 damage from it. You may attach any number of Pokemon tools to your Pokemon during your turn. You may attach only one Pokemon tool to each Pokemon, and it stays attached. There are some cards that let you remove your Pokemon tools or add a second Pokemon tool. Those cards can be pretty useful. Our next Pokemon tool is Big Air Balloon. The Stage 2 Pokemon this card is attached to has no retreat cost. A Stage 2 Pokemon would be the third evolution in a Pokemon's evolutionary cycle. So, this card would be very useful for our Swampert. Now, let's sleeve it. Alright, and next will be our item cards. We've got 2 copies of Fighting Gong. It says to search your deck for a basic fighting energy card or a basic fighting type Pokemon. Reveal it and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Let's get these guys sleeved. shuffle your deck. Got 2 of these guys. Let's leave them. Okay, next we have 3 copies of Energy Recycler. It says to shuffle up to 5 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. Being able to recycle your energy cards in this game is a godsend. Especially when you've had multiple Pokemon knocked out. Getting one of these cards can help you out. Can help you in a pinch. Especially with some of these Pokemon's abilities allowing you to attach a few energy cards during your turn. Because in this game, you can only attach 1 energy card per turn. So, final item card, and it's a potion. This card lets you heal 30 damage from one of your Pokemon. It ain't much, but it can be helpful. It can be helpful when you need it. Alright, let's leave it up. Alright, now we're down to our energy cards. I've got 9 fighting type energies. And 9 water type energies. Time to sleeve them. Let's start with our water type energies. Sorry, I feel like that trigger was a little loud. I might have to edit the audio of that one in post. I was getting a little experimental with it. Whoops. There we go. sleeved deck. Let's just put it away. Is our mudkip deck. I hope my boyfriend likes it. Alright. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you guys in the next one.